And returning to our top story, Canada Post has received a strike notice from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. The union signaling that workers plan to hit the picket line starting Friday at midnight. Joining me now is John Hamilton, the Canada Post spokesperson. John, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Roger.
They've set a strike deadline. Does this mean a strike is going to happen, or are you still talking at all? Where do we stand?
Well, we're preparing to present offers this week, offers that hopefully will resolve the situation. But the reality is, what the union chooses to do. They've just notified us that, they're prepared to go back on strike on Friday. And I think if you look back, we just had the commissioner's report out on Friday. We both, Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers participated fully in that process. We had hearings over January and February. And it presents a very sobering and straightforward look at Canada Post, and essentially says we're facing an existential crisis at Canada Post, and we need to make changes on broader and things like our policy approach, but first and foremost on our collective agreements that are inflexible and built for mail. So I think Canadians who saw that report come out on Friday were hoping for something more than a rinse and repeat by the union, but unfortunately that appears to be where we're at.
And with that report, essentially, I believe it said Canada Post is almost bankrupt. Could Canada Post survive another strike?
The last one had a massive impact, hundreds of millions of dollars on Canada Post. That one came at Christmas. Another one would just be debilitating, and we're already losing $1 billion a year, and had to have a bailout from the government. We need to turn the page. We need to realize that we are in 2025. The delivery realities have changed. They're not the same as they were when we were delivering mail. We're prepared to do that. We're putting forward proposals like providing good part-time jobs for weekends, bringing some flexibility into our delivery model so that we can compete and start to grow our business. But we can't hold on with a white death grip to the past, and that's where we've been stuck in negotiations, and we need to move forward for the benefit of our employees, for the benefit of the company, but for the benefit of the country, who's depending on Canada Post as this national infrastructure that delivers things to each and every Canadian, especially at this time when we're facing threats from the U.S. and trying to strengthen our domestic economy.
And since that last strike, I imagine a lot of people found alternative services. Have you managed to win those people back, or have you been left in a weaker position?
Some came back, others didn't, but we just keep giving reasons for our customers to go elsewhere, and that is not good for the postal system. That if you're in the delivery business, you count on one thing first, and that's consistency, and people can continue to rely on you. And these on-again, off-again strikes, and if you look over the last 20 years, we've had to have back-to-work legislation, binding arbitration. It's been messy. Thankfully, customers have stuck with us, but we start to get down to those who have no other options, and that's largely small business, and we need to be there for them. We service 500,000 small businesses. We're proud to do that. But this is only going to cause more concern for them, more worry, and they don't need it at this time, especially with the threats we're seeing from the U.S.
Now, you said you're still offering proposals. What's the union stance right now? Are they still open to talks this week?
Yeah, we're hopefully going to sit down this week and hammer out a deal. But we need to start addressing the challenges that we face as a company. We need to start modernizing and bringing some flexibility to our delivery model. But at the same time, making sure that we maintain what's important to our employees, the job security that they have, the pension that they have, the benefits that they have, and add an increase in wages. It's just there's only so far we can go. But that process needs to start now. The report was a wake-up call to say, let's start that process, let's work together, because this is a crisis we can work together on, and then work with the government on all the other things that need to be fixed, because the reality is we're in an existential crisis, but this service is worth holding on to, and it's worth rebuilding.
Okay.
We can do it, but we need partners.
Okay, John, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Roger.